Help support the show by joining the Patreon or becoming a YouTube member. Also, hit that like button and subscribe if you want more Browns-focused content.
Well, if you want to beat a team like Detroit, you got to play your best football if you're a team like the Cleveland Browns. We knew Detroit was the better team coming into this week. We knew that Detroit had higher aspirations than the Cleveland Browns. They're in a much different place. And if you want to beat a team like Detroit, you got to play good football, and you got to hope that Detroit doesn't play their best football. Now, look, the break that the Cleveland Browns got today is I don't think Detroit came even close to playing their best football this week. They were sloppy, a lot of bad penalties. Offensively, they had a lot of strange drops from Jamison Williams. Like, in no way can I sit here and say that the Detroit Lions exclusively just outplayed you, out-talented you, were just better than you in every phase of the game. I don't think that's what happened. I think that's the unfortunate part about this game is that the Browns hurt themselves more than the Detroit Lions hurt them. And that wasn't what was supposed to be coming in. If this game had ended and they had lost this game against the Detroit Lions because Detroit was just simply better. They just outperformed you, won the battle on the trenches, just better quarterback play than you, which obviously did happen in this game. Then, yeah, I'd be able to accept this. But the thing that makes this less acceptable is that that's not what happened. Detroit didn't bully you in this game. You made Detroit's life easy. The sad thing about this Browns team is this sentence is completely true. And this is the worst thing about the team is that this sentence is true. The Browns' biggest weakness on defense has nothing to do with their defense right now. The Browns' biggest weakness on defense, if you want to attack the Browns' weakness on defense, give them the ball on offense or let them let them do something on special teams. Special teams and offense have been the backbreaker for this defense. I think Ray Rags, who donates in chat during the live stream a lot, he brought up that the Browns had given up over 100 points this year, but almost 50 of those points were from possessions earned after interceptions or plus possessions after bad kick coverage. That's what's killing you right now. You know, the Browns gave up a kickoff return touchdown. Joe Flacco was rancid in this game. And that's where the Browns are. If you want to beat the Browns defense, you're not going to outperform them with your offense. Nobody has. The Browns have played 4 good quarterbacks 4 weeks in a row. And every week I'm saying to myself, I don't think the other quarterback really played their way out the Browns defense to the point to where the Browns defense wasn't a problem for them. No, it's that the Browns offense is creating extra opportunities for the other team's offense, or the Browns special teams are creating extra opportunities. Real quick before I continue on, let me thank my sponsor for today, Sleeper. Hey, have you ever heard of the Sleeper app? Well, here's a fun secret. It's not just for fantasy leagues. It's great for fantasy leagues. I personally have used it for years with my college friends to play fantasy football and to do pick'em leagues, all sorts of fun stuff like that. But the Sleeper app also gives you news. It gives you scores. You can also try to turn your football knowledge into real money. Just download the Sleeper app and pick more or less on your favorite players with more stats than any other daily fantasy app. Just choose 2 or more of your favorite players from pregame or live. Pick more or less from the predicted stats, and you could win up to 100 times your money if your picks win. Use promo code WORSTTAKE, and you'll get up to $100 match on your first deposit. Again, promo code WORSTTAKE. You'll get up to $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. Links are in the description. The special teams and offensive units of this team are creating all the fucking problems for the Cleveland Browns defense. And look, I don't even think this was the defense's best performance, right? I think they let Jahmyr Gibbs get loose a little bit too much for my liking. 15 carries, 91 yards, and a touchdown. Some of that came at the end of the game, but still, I think they let him get a little too comfortable back there. They weren't tackling as well as I expect this team to tackle. And I don't think they got the rate of pressure that I expected. No sacks in this game from this defense. So I'm not completely taking the defense off the hook here. This was probably their worst performance of the year. But still, if you look at how this team fared and why they struggled to keep up in this game, the defense was not the biggest problem or even up to the point to where you would say they were a massive problem for you. They didn't play lights out, but your special teams created points for Detroit. Your offense created points for Detroit on multiple occasions, right? The fumble and the interception both led to touchdowns from Detroit. And then obviously the kickoff return touchdown led to points for Detroit. Like, I don't think the defense played well enough to win this game against Detroit, regardless of what was going on with the offense, if we got a neutral performance from them. But I also don't think that they're the main problem, because the main problem right now is that the biggest issue, the biggest leaker of points on this team is the offense and the special teams. We're so far away from complimentary football. Like, we're so far away from it. We're not playing complimentary football. We're playing, I don't even know what a clever turn of phrase would be for it. It's awful football here, right? The defense is not just not being helped by the offense, it's being harmed by the offense. Like, we're playing contemptive football on the other sides. It's awful. Our special teams units, awful. Look at the field. Like, again, you want to beat a team like Detroit, you got to win the field position battle. You got to win the turnover battle. We lost both of those battles here, right? Like, Detroit only outgained the Browns by 30 yards in this game. They put up 34 points to the Browns 10. And you might ask yourself, how does Detroit only outgain us by 30 yards? And that ends up in such a wide difference in points. I'll tell you how that happens. It's field position, right? First drive of the game for Detroit, first scoring drive of the game in the first quarter. They get the ball at the Detroit 35 because we did a terrible job covering the kickoff. So that meant that they only had to go 5 plays, 65 yards to score. Cleveland scored on the drive before. They had to go 13 plays, 88 yards, right? So the level of difficulty here to score a touchdown is just drastically different. Field goal for Detroit, their next scoring drive. Well, let's see where they started that drive at. They started that drive at the Cleveland 46 because of an interception from Joe Flacco, right? And then let's see their next scoring drive, their touchdown, right? At the end of the half, they get the ball at the Cleveland 5 because of another interception from Joe Flacco, which leads to a 5-yard scoring drive. We can keep doing this for almost every score that the Detroit Lions got, right? Later in the game, I believe in the fourth quarter, they got a touchdown. Where they start this drive? At the Cleveland 20. That's the one drive they scored a touchdown on that they had to go down the field. No, never mind. I'm tripping on that. They got the ball at the Cleveland 20, which meant that they only had to go 20 yards to score because the Browns fumbled on the drive before. That's not even including the touchdown that they got off a punt for the Cleveland Browns. I mean, we're talking about 21 points off bad field positioning, not 21, 17 points off bad field position, plus 7 from the kickoff return. Just abysmal attempts at playing any level of complimentary football, right? We're not winning the field position battle. We're not even coming close to winning the field position battle. We're giving Detroit easy drives, easy chances to score, all of this stuff, and then we're wondering why we're losing. We played losing football today. And look, a lot's going to be said about the quarterback position, and a lot should be said. Joe Flacco was terrible in this game. This offense has scored 10 points. I think throughout the first 4 weeks of the season, we have scored like less than 80 points or something ridiculous like that. We're scoring less points this year than we scored last year at this point of the season. Like, it's bad. Joe Flacco is bad, right? And look, I'm somebody who is not a big fan of playing a rookie super early in this season because of the obvious issues that you might run into if you play a rookie this early. But the truth is, you're at a point to where you have no choice, right? Maybe this will be, and this partly is on the team for rolling into the season with a rookie as a backup. Because if they had like somebody like a Kenny Pickett, maybe they're able to be more flexible at quarterback, and they could have benched Joe Flacco longer ago. But because there's a rookie, you do have to kind of pay due diligence to, hey, are we putting this guy in the best position to succeed? But Joe Flacco, 4 interceptions, 2 touchdowns. How many turnovers? I don't even think this counts the turnovers, but I think he has 2 other fumbles so far in his run in Cleveland this year. The sequel is nowhere. You know what this is like? It's like they made Coming to America, and we all had fun with Coming to America in the 80s. And then like Amazon makes Coming to America 2, and it's terrible, right? This is the Hollywood 30 years later sequel, and it's not good. The sequel has been awful. I have not wanted to bench the quarterback, not because I'm a believer that Joe Flacco is going to turn it around, but just because I want as much as possible for this team to not put a quarterback in a shitty situation like they have my entire life. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to be able to avoid that. Like they're turning the ball over at such a rate at specifically the quarterback position that you have to consider making a move, right? One of the big things that are going to be a catalyst for having to make a move or not is does the locker room believe in Joe Flacco anymore? I find it hard to believe that the locker room believes in Joe Flacco anymore. If they don't believe in him, you got to move off of him, right? Once that's gone, once they don't believe in him, you got to move off of him. I feel like we're at that point where you have forced the hand of everybody involved, and now you got to play this rookie in London in week 5 against the Minnesota Vikings, who are going to blitz the shit and disguise the shit out of him, right? Like, look what Brian Flores did to Jake Browning last week. It was brutal what he did to that guy. And Jake Browning's not even a rookie, right? I think Jake Browning's been in the league 4 years. And he disguised him and confused him to death. And now they're at that same place where their hands kind of forced. Like, how do you walk in the next week and you play Joe Flacco, right? And how do you convince these guys this week to think that Joe Flacco's your best chance to win? I know that Kevin's going to say what he needs to in the press conference, that they're not going to completely bench him today, but it's got to at least be on the table. It's got to be something that you consider before you get to Wednesday's practice. And, you know, I think you're at the point to where you might just have to do it. You know, like you tried it. You tried to go back to what worked in 2023. It just ain't there, right? 4 weeks in. And to be fair to Joe, 4 extremely tough challenges, right? You get Detroit, you get Green Bay, you get Cincinnati, which is not that tough of a challenge, actually. And then you get, what was week 2? Oh, Baltimore, right? So 3 out of 4 of these teams, very tough challenges. And sometimes you aren't being helped by your wide receivers, right? Jerry Jeudy with a massive drop late in this game. Harold Faden with a couple of massive drops late in this game that would have really helped the Browns build some momentum. So it's not all on Joe Flacco, but the fact that you have 6 turnovers stemming from Joe Flacco, and turnovers have been the biggest thorn in the side of the defense, is why you're forced to make a move here. Right? If Joe Flacco was just playing shitty football but not turning the ball over, they might be able to live with it. But the offense right now is the biggest thorn in the side of the defense. No team has put the pressure on the Browns defense quite like the Browns offense has. And I don't mean that in any good way. Right? Like, that is why I feel like you're at the point to where your hand's forced. And I don't think this is a move they wanted to make unless their hand was forced. Now, internally, they're going to have to figure out, do they think Dylan's ready? If they don't think Dylan's ready, what are their other options? Because continuing to put Joe Flacco out there with him turning the ball over at the rate that he is just not going to produce positive results. Like, it's not even going to come close to producing positive results. Nobody's believing that it's going to produce positive results. And if Dylan's not ready, why not? You know, like, it's tough. It's tough. But you got to get somebody out there who, at the very least, is not going to turn the ball over at the rate that Joe's turned it over. Like, whether the quarterback play is better or not, it doesn't even matter anymore, right? Like, the quarterback play has not been good. With the rookie quarterback out there, it's probably not going to be great. But the question is, are you going to turn the ball over as much? Because these turnovers are killing us. These turnovers are absolutely killing us. We have been minus in every game that we've played in this season. Joe Flacco has thrown an interception in every game that he's played in. He's thrown multiple interceptions in two of them, right? It's hard to believe he didn't throw multiple interceptions in the Baltimore game. He didn't somehow, but he's thrown multiple interceptions in both of them. It's the turnovers at this point, that are going to force your hand. Like, we're almost at the point where it's like, hey, can Bailey Zapp not turn the fucking ball over? Like, if we're not ready to go to Dylan, can we go to Bailey? Can we go to somebody who's not going to turn the ball over? Like, that's the first thing you need to plug before you get to anything, right? If this is about execution, our wide receivers getting open, we're not even having those conversations because the turnovers are so egregious. We're not even having those conversations. And that's the unfortunate part, right? I think they had a plan to maybe wait it out these first 6 weeks and then see what happens. But their hands forced now. If they can't say to themselves truly that they think Dylan's going to turn the ball over less than Joe Flacco, then we're in serious trouble. Serious trouble for the rest of the year. I mean, we're not even worried about getting back to decent at quarterback play. I'm assuming we're going to suck for the rest of the year at quarterback. But can we turn the ball over less? We're not there. We're not there. That's the unfortunate part. So many guys had opportunities to make plays this week. Harold Fainin, golden opportunity to make a play, doesn't catch it, right? I had people asking me, well, is this the position coach's fault? Is this the offensive coordinator's fault? The coach's job is to put these players in a position to make plays. When somebody just drops a pass, they're in a position to make a play, they don't make the play, that's the player's fault, right? If we're watching Jerry Jeudy and he's not getting in a position to make a play all game, okay, that's on the coaches. But if you're watching Jerry Jeudy and he's in a position to make plays and he's not making plays, that's on Jerry. Jerry's not been good. He's not been a top-level playmaker in this offense. He's been a pedestrian. Bring back Steve Smith. Bring back Steve Smith. Somebody's got to piss him off again because he's not been a game changer like he was last year. He was a game changer last year. He's just there right now. David Njoku, he's just there right now. Harold Fainin has moments of being a game changer, but drops the ball too damn much to be a game changer. This is like this third critical drop. I've been very complimentary of this rookie class, but Harold Fain's dropped the ball enough to where I'm like, hey, man, what the fuck is going on with him? Isaiah Bond made some plays, but Isaiah Bond should not be your biggest playmaker at wide receiver right now. But that's where we're at. That's where we're at. Isaiah Bond is the biggest playmaker on offense right now, at least in the passing game. It's Isaiah Bond. He's the one making plays, jumping up, making difficult catches. How is that the case? Quincy Junkins, he's good, but he's not Saquon Barkley right now. Like, he's not going to just put the whole team on his back. And he's had like 3 weeks of practice. He don't got the conditioning to be able to put the team on his back right now, right? I know somebody was like, let's run Quincy 40 times. He's not anywhere close to being in the shape he needs to be because he wasn't here during training camp. He's good, but damn. There's limitations to him right now. Obviously, I think this offense will get better as the year goes on, but I don't know how much better, man. I don't know how much better. It looks bad. It looks terrible. This is not a good look for anybody. It's not a good look for Kevin Stefanski. It's not a good look for Tommy Rees. This is bad. Nobody thought that this offense would be juggernauts, but we thought we would put up more points in the first 4 weeks of this season than we did last season, and I don't think that's the case. Whether we get a great performance from our defense or just a solid one like we got today, it doesn't end up mattering. Because, again, the team that exploits the Browns' defense the most is the Cleveland Browns. We put them in horrible positions. We ask too much of them. And then we give up points on special teams. Horrible performance. You're not going to beat a team like Detroit playing the way you did. That was never going to happen. To beat a team like Detroit, you got to play complementary football. You got to not turn the ball over. You got to play sharper football than you did today. You got to catch the big plays that are there. Didn't do a single damn one of those things. Not a mystery why they lost this game. They weren't favored to win it to begin with. This was going to be a tough game for them to win to begin with. And then you come out and you do that, obviously you lose. You deserve to lose. That's what you've earned, is a loss. Because that's a loser effort. Only thing for this team to do is turn the page and go to next week. The good news for them is they win next week, things look a lot different, right? And it's a winnable game. Minnesota's not the best team in the world right now. They might be starting a rookie quarterback next week. It's doable. It's certainly doable to beat Minnesota next week. But in order to beat Minnesota next week, well, you got to not turn the ball over a million times. You got to not be +2 in turnover margin. Got to take care of the football. In order to do that, you got to ask tough questions if you're Kevin Stefanski. Hey, maybe Dylan's not ready, but is he not going to turn the ball over? Honest to God. The turnovers are what's killing us more than anything. By the way, all this talk about quarterback and what we got to do at quarterback, and I understand that's going to lead to discussion. Look, I do a video every week from the college perspective of these prospects coming up because I understand until this quarterback problem is solved, we're going to live some version of this life, right? We are living the non-quarterback life. I understand it. But a lot of the talk about quarterback, it is letting Bubba Ventrone slide for murder. And he's been committing murder to this team for like 2 years, man. 3 years. My bad. This is third season. He's been getting away with murder. Okay. I wish people were as loud about firing Bubba Ventrone after performances like this than they are when our field goal kicker misses kicks. Because our field goal kicker missing kicks got nothing to do with Bubba Ventrone. This stuff, the stuff that happened today, losing the field position battle like we did against Detroit, everything to do with Bubba Ventrone, right? Not being able to cover punts and kicks, that has everything to do with Bubba Ventrone. The Browns kicked the ball off today 2 times after a score. They only scored twice, right? They kicked the ball off 2 times. Both those times ended up with Detroit having the ball at the 40. Then they punt the ball 1 time, and it gets returned for a touchdown. This is the stuff that Bubba Ventrone is supposed to do. The Browns have a roster young enough, full of enough draft picks to where special teams should be good. At least the offense has an excuse for being terrible. It is annoying, and as much as nobody wants to hear it, the Browns don't have a quarterback. It's not a surprise that the offense sucks because their quarterback sucks. Joe Flacco sucks right now. And I don't know if Better is on the roster. That's the truth. Guys, if Better was on the roster, Joe Flacco wouldn't be starting right now. right? Like if somebody had looked better than Joe Flacco in camp, they would have had the job. That was the bar. That's what they were asking all of these quarterbacks to be. Can you be better than Joe Flacco? Nobody was better than Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco got the starting job. Okay. Like, I know why the offense sucks. Their quarterback sucks. They have an offensive line that's injured. They have legitimate reasons to stink right now. They're not deep at wide receiver. They lost Cedric Tillman. They're even less deep at wide receiver now. Like, it's not fun. Nobody's getting them off the hook for being as terrible as they are, but at least they have reasons to suck. What is special teams' reason to suck right now? You are pulling off players from the best defense in the NFL to play special teams right now, and you can't cover a nosebleed on special teams. Like, what is Bubba Ventrone's excuse for this special teams unit being terrible? There's not a single compelling reason for this. There's not a single thing that's compelling right now for these units to be this bad. I swear to God, I'm not fired a coach today, guy, but I think if you fired Bubba Ventrone today, you would have a much better punt coverage unit by like 3 weeks. Like, I think he sucks. I've given it a chance. I've thought he sucks for 2 years. I've said he sucks for 2 years. I can't. It's Joe Woods 2022 levels of undeniable that man is terrible. He ain't the man for the job. Special teams, disaster today. Offense, disaster today. The defense was all right. They weren't amazing, but they were all right. Right? Again, no sacks on Jared Goff, not really getting the pressure, allow somebody to get 100 yards on you. You know, I don't think they're going to walk away from this saying we played damn good on defense. No, they've had better games. But, I mean, the defense wasn't bad. Everything around it was just god-awful, though. God-awful. God-awful. I mean, we're at the point where you got to do something. You got to do something at the quarterback position. You got to do something at special teams. Like, at quarterback, on the offensive side of the ball, you got to address the turnovers. Joe Flacco is playing this super safe, conservative style where he's scared to death to turn the ball over, and he's turning the ball over at the second highest rate in the NFL. He can't do it. He can't not turn the ball over. It's not in his DNA right now. You got to change something. Special teams wise, I mean, dog. Bubba Ventrone is lucky that the Browns don't have a quarterback right now, because that is taking a lot of the oxygen in the room that should be meant for him. Honest to God. And like I said, when Kevin got to this point with Joe Woods, if you can't move on at this point from Bubba Ventrone, if you can't, you don't got to outright fire him, but you got to move him off responsibilities, man. Like, he's got to be like the same way you did Andy Dickerson last year, where Andy wasn't even running the offensive line meetings. It's the same shit you got to start doing to him. Right? You don't want to fire him because of the optics. I understand that. Wait till the end of the season to fire him. But you got to start moving him off of his shit, because this is bad. This is bad, man. Like, there's no way around it. This is Joe Woods 2022 levels of terrible coordination skills here. And if the same way where he had to fire Joe Woods to not go down with that sinking ship, if you're Kevin Stefanski, do not continue to go down with this sinking ship of a special teams coordinator that is Bubba Ventrone. And again, I don't give a fuck about him having kickers that miss kicks. That's not on Bubba Ventrone. What I care about with Bubba Ventrone is that he's awful at the coverage units. The coverage units are terrible. Our punt return rules are always weird. Our punt returners are always fair catching shit that shouldn't be fair caught, not letting shit bounce that should be bouncing, letting shit bounce that shouldn't be bouncing. We're all-time awful at it. Changes, they're going to have to happen this week. And I was hoping they could avoid it because you got to go all the way to London this week. It's going to be a strange week for the entire team, but you got to do something. Because they see it. They know that this team isn't hopeless, right? If this team was hopeless, you could do nothing. But I think the problem is that this team understands that they're not hopeless this year. They're just hopeful enough that you got to do something. Got to do something. Can't continue to sit around and not change anything at this point. You know, again, I was willing to let this Joe Flacco thing roll out for 6 weeks because I understood you don't want to put a rookie in that kind of a situation. You want to avoid it if you can, but the turnovers has forced my hand. That's where I'm at. You know, maybe if he was turning the ball over less, we could deal with the mediocre quarterback play, but the turnovers are just too much. It's a bridge too far. Special teams wise, we got to start adjusting who's in charge of these coverages, who's doing what. We got to start pulling coaches from different parts of the team to help with special teams because this is just not it. And again, you might not want to just outright fire Bubba right now because that might be hard to do logistically, whatever. But you can start moving things in that direction. And at this point, there's no reason not to. That's my thoughts on this.